In the top left, playing Greenfinger, we have Trillion versus Mr.Cat on the right hand side playing Vesper.
Yeah, and we can already see Trillion is going for a more aggressive opening with the commander. Uh, we hadn't seen that yet, I don't think.
I've seen a couple people go for this opening. Especially this version, because this is the version we saw where I believe Sedge did this and got Groove quite quickly. I've definitely seen a player, because they walked up, they hit this village with their commander that was full health to get some Groove, and then they killed it with the second hit to get more. And that proved to be incredibly effective at building Groove.
Yep.
This is what we're going to see here again. It seems to be really strong.
Yeah, you don't lose economy for it either, because your commander gets some villages earlier than it would otherwise.
And I guess like the thing is both players could technically do this opening. So it's all about like I guess this aggressive opening punishes the more passive one.
Mm, well, if they both do it, then they meet in the center, right?
Yeah.
Then I guess you'd need to attack from a beach into flagstone, so it's not very good.
Yeah, I guess at that point like the commanders just kind of back off. Alright. Mr. Cat now realize that Greenfinger is standing in this very aggressive position with a lot of groove and builds a dragon in response.
Yeah, no anti-air present left, yet. So this dragon is definitely gonna put some work in. And like the dragon is pretty good on this map. It can kind of swing up and down through the center. So building I find you always build the dragon from this tower because well, it's closer to the center really. And if you want to send it downwards, it generally works.
Okay, we see Trillion sacrificing a sword to hit that mage. Actually that's a really interesting play because that means that balloon is now an effective wall.
Yeah, I'm trying to check the mage's HP.
Yeah, it's saying
Yeah,
on
it's at
87.
87, so it can't kill.
Yeah, so at first I'm like, oh, you know, that's a weird move to go for, but as soon as you look at the balloon that's walling right now, it's like, oh, actually, that makes a lot of sense. That means that that balloon can't go down to the mage, and the mage going for the spear instead. Mr. Cat's actually putting in quite a lot of work this turn. Big counterattack.
Yeah, I think you don't want to let the enemy commander just stand there for free. So he's trying to get him to move out of here, I guess. That thief is gonna... Actually, the thing is, you would think that since the commander went center, uh, there's less presence for these villages up north, but what's actually happening is Mr.Cat is being forced to defend center, and that means that Trillion is taking control of these villages up there. That thief is gonna punish that quite a bit.
Okay, we see Mr. Cat has held the top of the map though, and he's doing okay in the center. Like that witch goes down. His dragon lives, and he's gonna be able to build like a couple of units after healing that up.
Yep. He
That's
could
the
have he could have built his units before
yeah,
healing the
like
dragon.
having like a slightly injured dragon over like that extra sword. Like the sword is actually really worth it in this kind of situation.
Yeah, and you can mage heal the dragon before it hits, so It doesn't really limit what you can do.
Oh, that's a good point actually. Yeah, because then you're basically saving the money for the next turn that you're gonna spend like money on a mage heal to top the dragon. Actually, the dragon didn't even heal to full, so the dragon would have been like slightly injured either way.
Right. Wondering how Mr.Cat is gonna use his groove here. There doesn't seem to be a surround at the moment. And in the like Greenfinger versus Vesper, uh, the worst case scenario for Vesper is using the groove to clear vines because you're forced to. And that's, I mean, Mr.Cat's not gonna like make that mistake, but if Greenfinger can force Vesper to have to groove against the vines, then he's in a very good spot. Although, I mean, we've been talking, but Mr.Cat has been pushing the south front quite, like, pretty fast, I find.
Yeah, and has groove there as well, so we could see a big aggressive Vesper play come in here.
Mm, especially since Trillion's army doesn't have any distance between, well, itself and Mr.Cat's unit.
We're gonna see here, smoke cloud comes down. Oh, just positions to be very aggressive on the stronghold actually.
Yeah, that's a pretty good move. Although I would have liked it way more if he grooved like one square to the left and had a unit in front of the HQ to guarantee a spot next turn. That's
Oh,
usually
yeah.
what you want to do. Because right now, Trillion, yeah, he can place units to protect his HQ. I guess he really wanted to damage the golem, and it's more about the pressure over actually killing the headquarters, I suppose. Because Trillion has been forced to pull back like all of his army over here to help his HQ, but he's still pushing with Greenfinger with this small force. So
Ooh, but
depending on what
where?
happens, it could like collapse on him.
Oh, but Mr.Cat is actually gonna get the kill here. Realizes there's a lethal and runs back. And the smoke cloud. Oh, it was all a ruse.
Love the dog crits, the dog crits optimizations in there. Yeah, really clean lethal, and like I think a lot of lethals happen when the game becomes like complex because you're still on the timer and you suddenly you have a lot to think about and you it's really hard to like get a good turn when multiple parts are separate like this. And Trillion, if you look at you could say if you only look at half of the map, each half of the map was a correct idea, but because of the overall state of the game, I guess, he didn't have a lot of units to support Greenfinger. And I mean, I guess that's part of why he stepped into a lethal. So Mr.Cat's, you know, playing the cards he's got and forcing Trillion into making a mistake.
Yeah. And like that isn't like a simple thing to play against either. Like if you see Vesper and you react to her because it's like, oh, my stronghold's under a lot of threat this turn, I need to defend it. Like how you do that while also like managing your aggressive front, then yeah, like that is complicated. And yeah, like there was a dog crit suicide in there as well, and it's like, oh, like, you know, standing next to a beach is a really good way to get killed as a commander. So
Yep.
that was well played from both players. Mr. Cat recognizing and kind of, I guess, like creating like a lethal opportunity as well. And even stuff like there was that mage heal that came down to get the mage up to like 9 health, which would then knock down the balloon. Oh, just like worked well together to create lots of opportunities.
Yep. And I mean, Trillion was, I think, was ahead. Uh, this game before Mr. Cat used his groove. I guess it's a little expected because Greenfinger has a faster charge, but I think he was more ahead than what the matchup simply would, than simply like the consequence of the matchup. And Mr. Cat, like, he was behind, but he had still a lot of things going his way. Like he had his strong front approaching the HQ. He still had quite a few units available for his own defense. So he was still in the game by quite a bit.
Well played to Mr. Cat. We're going to go into game 2.